Welcome to the Human Conversation podcast with Jules White, the real dragon slayer, author and entrepreneur sales coach. Tune in weekly for human conversation about business and sales. Enjoy business expert interviews, educational episodes, and virtual cuppas with entrepreneur business owners. So grab yourself a cuppa and enjoy. Here is your host, Jules White.
So welcome everybody to the Human Conversation. I have so many exciting guests on this program, and today I have got this fabulous lady. Now, I met her, must have been either LinkedIn or Facebook, one of those two, and discovered that she was also an author. So that's kind of what got us talking initially, the author side of things, but she's so much more. So she's Catherine Adamson. She is the founder of Kaleidoscope Virtual Assistant Services. Okay, that's her business. She's also the author of How to Be a Thousandaire. You see, now I love this. We're going to talk more about this. And this is being published in August. So Catherine, welcome to the Human Conversation.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jules. It's lovely to be here.
It's so nice to talk to you. We've already had a virtual cuppa, I think, in the past, haven't we? Whereabouts are you based again? York?
I'm in York. Yeah, York, North Yorkshire.
Yes, that's what I thought. So actually, any people listening, and we get people listening from all over the world, Catherine, by the way, so they won't know that actually in the UK, York and Milton Keynes is a good 3-hour journey, really, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, straight down the M1. So it's a long journey. It's
hard for us to have a cup of tea together. So we do it as a virtual cuppa, don't we, on Zoom, which was lovely. Yeah. Yeah. So I found out all about Catherine, and then we said, well, you've just got to be on my podcast because I want to tell everybody about your story and what you do. So let's start with your business, because you've been in business for some time, haven't you, Catherine?
Yeah, nearly 11. Well, it is more than 11 years now. I keep forgetting. Time flies.
It goes so fast, doesn't it?
I know. It was my 10th anniversary last year, and now it's over 11 years. And it's, where's that year gone? I have no idea. It's just flown by.
And it's amazing, isn't it? 11 years. You know, that's a really good amount of time to have been in business. That's a really established business. How did you even come to start a business? Let's start at the beginning.
Well, I've been a PA. We offer virtual assistant support to our clients, and I've been a PA/administrator/ office manager, all these different roles over many, many years, which all were the same thing, to be honest. You know, you all did the same thing with a different job title. Yeah. You'll know what that's like in sales.
Definitely.
You all have different job titles, but ultimately you're doing the same thing. And I just thought one day, I get bored quite easily, Jules. And once I know what a job is, I like to move on and do something else. I just wasn't challenged.
Yeah.
And I think knowing me better now after 11 years in business, I'm actually quite driven. And I didn't really realise that 11 years ago, but I actually am. And I like change. I like opportunities, and I like to challenge myself. So I just thought, you know what? I'm going to leave work and I'm going to get myself a laptop, or a big computer, desktop computer it was at the time. Get myself a nice website and some funky business cards, and I'm just going to see whether it works. See who out there would like to work with me on a part-time, flexible basis.
Do you know, it's really interesting because we talk about this a lot on my podcasts when I have guests, because a lot of them are entrepreneurs, and I also wonder, you know, where was the trigger for you to actually do that and make that change? Because it's a really big step, isn't it, starting your own business? Do you think there was a trigger that kind of made you sort of go, right, that's it, I'm doing it, sort of thing?
That's a good question. I think there's probably lots of triggers, to be honest, Jules. You know, I decided I wanted to do it. Trigger number one. Yeah. The concept came into my mind, if you know what I mean, because I hadn't really been there before. And when I set up my virtual assistant business back in 2008, there weren't many around. I mean, it was a new thing. It was a brand new concept, and I hadn't really considered whether other people did it. So I've got the idea, and that was a trigger. I also had my husband there behind me going, just do it, I'll support you, don't worry about it, it's fine, we'll still be able to pay the mortgage somehow, come hell or high water, we will manage, you know. So 100% support behind me, which allowed that trigger to become a reality for me.
I think it's really, truly wonderful when you've got support like that from your partner or your other half or your family.
Yeah.
It's huge, isn't it? Don't you think?
It's massive. I talk to micro business owners all the time about growing micro businesses and how to develop them so that they work for you and create a lifestyle like you want. And one of the biggest things is money. It really is. How can I afford to leave my full-time job and go part-time? And it's important. You need to be able to pay your mortgage. You need to be able to pay your bills. If you haven't got someone supporting you in the background, you need to have a buffer in your bank account. You need to have a good 12 months in your bank account, I always advise people, because you won't get business straight away. However great you are, you still need to go out and market yourself, let people know you're there, so and that, you're not going to earn as much as you would in a full-time job within the first 12 months.
No, and I think that's a really good piece of advice as well, just thinking about what buffer you need, because if you can take some stress away around money, it's huge, isn't it, I think?
Massive.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you've got investments that you need to make in websites and business cards and networking and all that goes hand in hand with running a micro business.
There's a lot to think about, isn't there, in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah.
So you started this 11 years ago. Obviously, as you pointed out, and it's interesting, there weren't really VAs around back then. It wasn't so much a thing. And obviously, I guess now more and more have come into play. How's that affected your business?
Well, it's interesting because I think it's great, firstly. I think it's amazing that more and more people are setting up by themselves, especially women. I mean, I'm sure there are male virtual assistants, but the majority of virtual assistant businesses are run by women. And I think it's great that they're empowering themselves and getting out there and doing something for themselves. But in one way, I don't like it because it dilutes marketplace. Not so much as there's not enough business to go around, because I don't think that's the case. I think there's plenty of business for everybody, but more about what is a virtual assistant, because you Google virtual assistant and you might get a few people who do what I do, but you also get in airports as virtual assistants sometimes these like holograms of people saying, can I help you? Where would you like to go? That's a virtual assistant. Well, I know you can't put your hand through me. I might not be sat with you in your office, but I am there. I am real. So it's a whole range.
But it's interesting because what I see now is I see virtual assistants who specialise in, and then they'll say social media, or they'll say, whatever. So do you feel like VAs or virtual assistants are now specialising in particular areas? Is that what's happening, or are you still getting these all-round, virtual assistants?
We're getting both, Jules. We're getting both. People who set up as a virtual assistant because they've done some typing in their career and they think that they can do that for everybody. Then you've got virtual assistants who set up as online business managers, OBMs, I think they're called. And they are more social media, newsletters, that sort of thing. Yeah. A little bit more online management. But equally, there must be a little bit of a crossover with people who offer marketing through social media. What's the difference between the two? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, in terms of your business, what is it that you offer?
Well, we work at a very high level. We provide executive PA support to executives, non-exec directors who work on boards of large international companies, executive coaches who are working with corporates again, people who travel internationally and need proper executive PA support. That's what we do. We do some social media for some of our clients, and we do some other little bits, but they're for the clients that we're working with anyway. So it's much more high level, much more executive, rather than straightforward administration.
And you've grown over 11 years. So what's your business look like now?
Well, there's 7 of us now, which is amazing. So yeah, I'm really proud of that, to be honest. I no longer work as the PA. I get a bit scared if I have to roll my sleeves up and actually do the job myself now. So it's like, I've forgotten how to do it. What do you mean I've got to book a flight?
I love that.
So I've got an amazing team. Six people that work with me now. They're all incredible. Nikki's been with me about 10 years. Lou's been with me about 7 years now, I think, you know, and so they stay, which is marvelous as well. I love that. They're just so wonderful. My business wouldn't exist without my team, Jules. It just wouldn't exist now as it stands. And I'm just really grateful for everything they do.
Yeah, I mean, and again, when you've got loyalty like that, then you've got continuity, haven't you, with your people, which is just fabulous. I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we've got clients that we've been working with since the day dot as well. So my very first client is still with us. So that's really great. We love that.
So moving on to the book, because obviously I want to talk about the book because it's very exciting. It's kind of how we connected, because we were talking everything book, weren't we?
Yes.
So your book's called How to Be a Thousandaire. So straight away, I'm like, okay, this is different, because actually most of us tell us how we're going to make 7 figures and be millionaires. And this lady's talking about being a thousandaire. And actually, I quite like that, because I think sometimes a millionaire feels like it's so not achievable. And so tell us what the thought was behind writing the book.
Well, exactly what you've said really there, Jules. I mean, a millionaire is not achievable. For my business, it's a micro business, my business, even though there's 7 of us in the team now, and hopefully that will grow. It's tiny. I work from home. I'm in my own home here. All my team members work from their own home. So it's a completely different model to anything that people have done before. And that's what more and more people are doing. They're setting up as micro business owners. They're wanting that lifestyle. So How to Be a Thousandaire is about achieving your thousandaire sweet spot, which is about knowing what success is for you. What does success look like for you as an individual, as a person, as a wife or a husband, as a mother or a father, you know, as your life is what your business is all about, really. You know, we set up because we've got a passion about something. We're a real skill in doing something that we want to spread the love and do it for so many other people. Just like I did when I set up 11 years ago. I didn't want to do it for one person anymore. I wanted to do it for multiple people. So it's about knowing what success is for you. Success in terms of enough time for you to do the things other than work, enough energy for you to do the things other than work as well, and enough money. You know, what's enough? What's enough? And that's different for everybody. So that's the ultimate objective of the How to Be a Thousandaire book, is to reach your thousandaire sweet spot. And the route to that is what I'm calling the thousandaire model, which is how I've done it. Warts and all, good times, bad times, what I've done to grow my business, where it's gone wrong, where it's gone right, and what I would recommend other people do.
So it's certainly a journey, isn't it, this book, by the sounds of it?
Yes, it is. Very much a journey from start to end.
Is it interactive in any way?
Well, it's interactive in terms of, during the book, I do recommend keeping a thousandaire journal. There are exercises in the book that help you as you go, to help you think about what your vision is, think about what your values are, think about what it is you would want from team members. You know, what's their job description? What sort of characteristics do you want them to have? All these things that I've thought about, you know, over the years and worked really hard at. I'm just putting it all in a nutshell, really, so other people don't have to work as hard as me and hopefully achieve the same thing.
And I really love the concept of it and the idea of it, because it feels just a little bit more tangible, like I could touch it, rather than the whole millionaire thing, which I think now actually sometimes feels a little bit yucky, like actually whatever, you know. It's got that to it, hasn't it? Because everybody's talking about 7-figure businesses, blah blah blah. So.
There's so many books talking about how to be a millionaire, and a lot of them are talking about a similar sort of model to me, which is the outsourcing model. So the models are not that different, but what's different about being a thousandaire is that the business has grown on values. You know, I've got team members who've been with me 10 years, and you know, it's because I treat them right and they enjoy working with me and I pay them well. And you know, it's not about taking advantage of people, so your bottom line is better.
And you talked about those 3 kind of key things: time, energy, money. You know, I like 3s, you know, I like 3s. And so that kind of struck quite a chord with me. I really liked the idea of those being quite focal points. I'm guessing that goes through the book, that they're perhaps the points you focus on as well.
Yeah, we go back to them. We go back to the time, energy and money thing. We go back to the thousandaire sweet spot. And then we take the readers on a journey right from the beginning of when you're first setting up, because this book is for people who haven't yet set up or people who've maybe been in business a year and started to think, hang on a second, there must be an easier way of doing it than this, you know? So it's for the tiny micro businesses, home workers, people who are trying to juggle their work life around their family life as well, and their, you know, their hobbies. So it's I think it's a very accessible model. I believe in community, I believe in collaboration, and I believe in sharing. You know, I'm not grasping, oh, this is what I've done, I'm not telling anybody else. You know, I've just written about it, and then people can learn from what I've done wrong and what I've done well.
What a great way to go out into the world, to be honest, you know. And so we believe this is going to be published in August. That's kind of the place to think about watching out for it. Are you going to be selling it on Amazon, for instance, or is this just coming straight from you?
It's going to be on Amazon. I'm doing there's a paperback which will be sold on Amazon, and there is an ebook, and there will be an Audible as well.
Are you reading the Audible?
I am, yes. I'm doing it all myself, and then the publishers are just editing it and taking out the echoes and doing all that higgery-jiggery with it. I really felt it was important because it's my words, and people who've read my draft copy have said it sounds like me. You know, so I need to actually read it. I think it just wouldn't be the same coming from somebody else.
I think you are absolutely spot on. Where I get feedback is from people who say, it sounds like you're on my shoulder talking to me with my book. And do you know, it's one of the biggest compliments, isn't it? Because how amazing is that? If people relate that to who you are, and you sound the same, that consistency is amazing, isn't it?
It is.
Same as you, I decided to read my own Audible, which was no mean feat. I've got to be honest with you, it was a tough gig. I was 6 hours reading. The book's 3 hours 55 to listen to, so you know, it was, and apparently that was really good going. So but I think you're right, you need to read the book, you need to be the voice on Audible, I believe. So
it's me as the business owner, as the author, and that's all about being authentic as well, isn't it, and real, and who you are. I'm really excited.
It's a great opportunity to do it yourself, I think. Massive. So we've got the book coming. It's going to be published in August, which is fabulous. Now, the other thing I wanted to ask you was, obviously now you're an author. Okay, so, you know, life changes a little bit, I think, once you've authored a book. You obviously head up your business, but you don't really have to sort of work in it quite how you used to. So what does it all look like now for you? You know, what's that next step? Because obviously you're going to continue running your business, I'm presuming.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But then what happens next? You've authored a book. What's next?
Well, in line with the book, I've also becoming active on social media, on Facebook in particular. I've got a page called How to Be a Thousandaire. That's just the book title, so that's easy. And then I've got a private group called the Thousandaire Club.
Right.
So that's about me sharing again. It's about trying to build a community and create collaboration, so people, all of us, can support each other with our micro business growth and the problems we have and the issues we come across and our successes and things we want to shout and yay about, you know. So it's quite a small group at the moment, but it's slowly growing.
Well, the thing is, I've run my group for just over 2 years now. I've run my Facebook group, and I've got 409 members now, but that is completely organic growth. So, you know, I don't have these tens of thousands or thousands of members. I just have this really lovely group of 409 men and women, actually. There's some men in there too. And what you find anyway is that there's just a smaller group who are the people who are really active.
Yes, that's always the way.
But the others, actually, surprisingly, are often there just watching, because when you do something that really does engage with them, suddenly they come out the woodwork, and it's really exciting. I think I suddenly see these new names pop up, and I think, oh, they liked that subject, that was good. So they're still there. They're what we call the lurkers. We call them the lurkers, which is very fond, obviously a very fond name to call them, but they're still there watching and learning from you, even if they don't contribute. So groups are great, I think. I enjoy my group.
Yeah, well, I love it. I'm loving being part of it. Loving thinking about what can I post that's going to add value, what do people want to learn about. You know, it's just, I really enjoy it. So that's, to me, a big thing now moving forward, is to get that group really active, and really engaged, and to give people something that what they need, really. I'm also dipping my toe into the world of public speaking. I know it's very exciting, and had my very first engagement a week ago at the York Professionals annual dinner. I'd done a lot of fundraising and did a massive personal challenge last year to celebrate my 10th anniversary in business. And they helped me with the fundraising. They supported that massively at the dinner last year. So they invited me back, give an update, and to talk about the book, talk about what I've been doing and what I learned from the walk and everything. So that was brilliant. I really, really loved doing that.
I love that, and I think you will be an amazing speaker if you go forward and do more of it. And I think the thing about, I'm doing more speaking, as you know, if you've been following all my stuff. And I think the thing about speaking is, obviously it's all about the audience, but it's about really honing in on those real keynote talks that you want to do. So that the subject matter, what is it that you really specifically want to talk about that's going to be this keynote that everybody wants to listen to. And I've noticed, I'm watching other speakers now who I really like, okay, and I watch them. I go to YouTube and I see talk after talk after talk, and you know, they're all the same keynote talk, and they might be slightly different because it's been tweaked in an industry or a sector, but it's all the same talk and the same stories. And there might be several of them, but they repeat themselves, and they do that because they work. They do that because they are really powerful. So you don't have to reinvent a talk every time you talk. You know, you're actually an expert in that particular area. And with your book, that's interesting, I think, because you can really hone in on that, can't you?
Absolutely. I think it's interesting. I just hope the audience think it's interesting.
Oh, I think they will. And I think what's really clever is how you've come at it from a different angle. And I think that's very important. And it likes authentic, it's realistic, you know, and it will definitely hit the mark, I think, for many people to sort of realise what it really takes and what it's like, you know.
And the thing is, Jules, I did it. I'm no rocket scientist. You know, so I did it by making it up as I went along, by making mistakes and doing things well, and it's basically that all packaged into a little book. It's also really supportive because I know what people have gone through. I know the trials and tribulations that micro business owners have. You know, I know how hard it is to work from home and get motivated, and how hard it is to get new clients and to find the right team members and to decide what price you're going to sell yourself at. And you know, I know how tough that is because I've done it. So it's just my experience down in paper. And Audible.
And Audible, yes.
And
now I need to ask you something. Are you originally from over the other side of the country, as in the Liverpool side of the country?
Well, I'm originally from Plymouth, believe it or not. My father was Merchant Navy, so I was born in Plymouth. Then we moved to Cardiff when I was about 3. And then when I was about 7, we moved to Liverpool. So you sense that, you hear that little twang.
I love accents. I'm really fascinated by accents. And I was listening to you and I kept thinking, she's not from York. She's not from York, you know.
No, I'm not.
I need to ask. You've got a real mix, though. If you think of Plymouth, because that's a really strong dialect, and then Cardiff, which is also really strong. But
I know.
That Liverpudlian kind of twang, which I love, by the way, which I'm just picking up slightly, and it's very soft, but I can just hear it.
It's when I've had a few drinks, especially if I go back to Liverpool. I've had a few drinks, it comes out a little bit more.
And when you're passionate about something, because of course that's the other time it comes out.
So I've been here 23 years. So I think it's really dumbed down a little bit, my accent. I'm not quite sure what accent I've got now. It's one of those universal ones.
Yeah, you've got a lovely mix. That's the main thing. I think I have too. I lived in the West Midlands for about 15 years plus. And I used to talk like that with the right accent from the Black Country. We should have a whole podcast just doing accents.
I can't do accents though. Everything sounds Welsh. Every time I do an accent, it sounds Welsh. It doesn't matter what I do.
I love it. Well, listen, I've really enjoyed getting to know you a bit better on the podcast. Obviously, talking about your own business, which is so successful, having been sort of going for 11 years. That's really amazing. You know, it's not every business that carries on going for such a long time, and that's testament to what you're doing and how you've grown it. Then you've gone and written this amazing book, which then helps other micro business owners. You know, how you do it, how you did it, where it was challenging, but what was successful. That's amazing, I think, to be able to put that into print for somebody. And
Thank you.
So obviously August, we're excited, we're waiting, because we're recording this in June. It's just the beginning of June. This is being recorded. 2019, in case this podcast goes on for years. And of course, in August, we will see the publishing of this fabulous book. But then also this group, you know, your page, obviously, but the group, tell us again, remind us the group name?
It's called the Thousandaire Club with Catherine Adamson, which is me, obviously.
I will make sure all the links are down below with the podcast, so everybody will be able to see that too. And I have just totally loved our human conversation, Catherine. So
Me too, Jules. Me too. I can't wait for the book to be published. It's with the publishers at the moment, so it's all a bit out of my hands.
The most magical day will be the day when you get the box with your printed books in. And it's just such a wonderful, wonderful milestone when you've taken the time and put the passion into writing it. I took a year to write my book, and when they finally arrived and I held it in my hand, it was really one of the most special moments. I'll never forget it. So
I've got 3 targets, Jules. The first one is to have my book in my hand with my name on. Just amazing. Having written it and got it published, amazing. That is goal number 1. Goal number 2 is to sell 501 copies, because apparently there's over 1 million books published in the UK every year now, and 98% of those don't even sell 500. So I'm going to sell 501. That's my next goal, and then after that it's international bestseller. You know, hey, let's not beat around the bush.
I love it. I love it. That's why we clearly have met, because we have so much synergy. And I think actually, you'll laugh at this. When I spoke to my publisher, I said, I'm going to sell 1 million copies like this. And he sort of said, okay. Because of course, for me, it was like, sky's the limit. Of course, I'm going to sell 1 million copies. Well, I'm just trying to think, how many copies have I sold? So we launched mine we published mine first of October. 1st of October last year. So that's what, 6, 7, 8, is that 9 months, I reckon? It's about
8 full months.
And I'm guessing I've sold nearly 2,000 copies.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, you're in the top 2% then, Jules. I'll be there with you soon. I just want to be in the top 2%, and then it's onwards and upwards from there.
That's it, isn't it? That's it. I look at the positionings on Amazon, which are kind of quite superficial, really, because they change so quickly. You know, if somebody buys one book, you can suddenly go up the charts, and then all of a sudden you drop back down. So they move so quickly. It's quite funny. But I still go and have a little look. And the other day I looked, and in America, on Amazon America, I was 132 position in sales and marketing, small business.
Brilliant!
Or Kindle, and I was like, world domination.
It is world domination.
But it's such a great achievement. You know, never underestimate the achievement to actually write and publish a book. It's really wonderful, and the chances we have today to do it are also wonderful. You know,
absolutely, absolutely. It's a lot easier nowadays.
Much easier.
You just got to make sure your book's good, and then people will buy it.
Totally, yeah. And actually, you've already started to create an audience for your book with your club and everything like that. That's another thing that's useful when you have Facebook groups, because you've got an audience ready for your book there as well, which is exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wish you all the luck in the world with your book. I'm going to check in with you. Don't you worry. I want to have a 501 copy revisit.
That would be good.
Yeah. So when you've sold your 501 copies of your book, we'll do another podcast just to recap for everybody where you are and what's happening and where you're speaking, so that we can listen to that too. But you're going to just do such amazing things. I'm sure of it, Catherine. You're such a lovely lady, and I can feel your energy. Your energy's fabulous. So I've really enjoyed our human conversation. I hope our listeners have.
Thank you very much.
So it only remains for me to say to our listeners, thank you so much for joining Catherine and I today. We've had a fabulous chat. And obviously we are on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're on SoundCloud, but we're also on YouTube, where we're going to look beautiful and fabulous on video. So I make sure that I publish across all the platforms. Please come and subscribe, please come and like, and please leave us comments. We'd love to know what you think of our human conversation. So until next time, I will see you soon, and ta-da for now.
You've just been listening to the Human Conversation podcast with Jules White. To find out more about the other work that Jules does, please visit her website www.liveitloveitsellit.co.uk. And if you enjoyed the podcast, then please do leave a rating and review on the platform you use to enjoy her show. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.